didn't know that y'all really thought that. I did not know how many people genuinely believed that blacks were freed when Abraham Lincoln said we were freed inside the Emancipation Proclamation, Civil War, etc. etc. No, baby, no, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. So in honor of Juneteenth, we're going to have a conversation. What did blacks do when we were freed in this country? What did we do when we received autonomous freedom in this country? Well, let's start back. Let's go back. And I want you to use your imagination for a moment, okay? Imagine your ass is a slave named Thebius. You a slave named Thebius. It's January 1st, 1863, right? You working your hot ass off in that damn heat, right? For whatever reason, it's hot. And this is a winter. I know it's winter, but just imagine that it's hot outside. Just bear with me. You receive the notice that Abraham Lincoln has just issued the Emancipation Proclamation. This is stating that if you are Negro, if you are black, and if you are a slave in the rebelling states, only in the 10 rebelling states, the Confederate states, you are now freed. You are now freed, and if you want to, can join the Union and fight against these motherfuckers. So, the reason why in the rebelling states is a big thing because, number one, imagine your ass a slave in Lexington, Kentucky, which was not a rebelling state at the time. That shit don't apply to you. You got to get your black ass up and work in the morning. That don't apply to you. Imagine if you do live in the rebelling states. Let's say you live in Texas somewhere. Let's say you a slave in Alabama. You got to still run away from Alabama to somewhere that's being union occupied. Let's say you're a woman, beautiful black woman who 8 months pregnant. Where the fuck you think you're going at? You live on a plantation in goddamn Mobile, Alabama. Where the fuck you think you're running away from? You can run away to Louisiana if you want to, but that's still, even though that the union's occupied over there, that's still under you. They still slaves over there. That the damn Emancipation Proclamation didn't apply to them. So no, you can't go there, right? Okay, cool. So finally we get to Juneteenth. Juneteenth is based on basically Juneteenth 1865, where the Confederacy in Texas said, hey, bro, you know what, fuck it, y'all blacks here are free. We recognize that y'all are free. Okay, cool. This is most historians look at this as the end of the Civil War. No, baby, no, that don't apply to you. What if your ass is still a slave in Delaware, where they didn't get freed until damn near December of that year? What if your black ass is a slave in one of those Indian territories, the Choctaw or something that has your ass in Oklahoma? They didn't get freed to damn near Reconstruction. Which brings us to, what did blacks do after slavery? Well, imagine slavery has finally ended for real. It's ended for real. And you were from a plantation in Alabama or in Georgia somewhere, but slavery ended. Okay. What you gonna do for work? Where you gonna go? You can't walk around here jobless. They just passed the black codes in Texas. Oh, y'all, you forgot about the black codes. You don't even know what the black codes is. Black codes were laws passed specifically to basically keep and basically underrated or underpaid or basically free labor in the South to keep the white Democrats. And this at the time, for those who don't know, this is when Democrats were evil. Might still be. This was to keep them in check. What these codes were, for example, your ass said, fuck it. Because a lot of black people at that time, when slavery ended, they stayed on the plantation and worked or did sharecropping. Let's say, for example, you say, nah, bro, I'm not cool with that. Okay, cool. In Texas, one of the black codes is it's illegal for you to be black and be without a job. Oh, you think I'm making this shit up? It's illegal for your black ass to be walking down the street and not have a job. So they can lock your ass up for it. And it's so convenient to the tax-paying citizens, the plantation workers, because if you living down south, where they allow contracted labor in from jail, contracted labor of inmates in public works, oh, this is perfect for you. So yeah, run your ass off, Thebes. You good. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, because the radical Republicans, as we call them, the radical Republicans, have now taken power in the White House. Reconstruction is starting. They have now passed all these little grants, not grants, and little projects all throughout the South to try to give black people power. You are starting to see black people vote. They even passed one thing where they said in certain political campaigns, those whites, particularly Democrats, those white Democrats who have held positions in the Confederacy of High Power, they could not vote. Temporarily lost the power to vote. This was a way to keep them from getting back in power. Then you had the Freedmen's Bureau, much respect to the Freedmen's Bureau, that was there to establish contracted labor agreements for slaves, not for slaves, for black people and for people who were hiring, so that way they could get a fair pay, medical, and et cetera, et cetera. So everything's going cool. Nigga, that shit lasted like 6 summers. That shit lasted 6 summers and went left. Because you forgot, nobody's going to be cool with the loss of power. You got to realize, you're telling all these people who did own plantations, the whites who did own plantations, that now you have to pay for wages now. You was just making free money. You was just doing free labor. Now you have to pay for the labor now. You have to tell these poor whites that, hey, you have to compete for a good job that you want at the same level with a black man who you could have just spit on and raped his wife a few minutes ago. No. And then you have the Ku Klux Klan, as well as other aggressive paramilitary white groups that are all the way white Democratic. Once again, this is at the time where Democrats was really on some bullshit, and they not let you years ago. So, through about few years of violence, terror, lynching, scaring the fuck, punking black people, if they tried to vote, beating the shit out of them, raping them, et cetera, all the progress that you had in the Reconstruction era is what we titled that time when you saw black people starting to develop and et cetera, and come up, that was just swept away. Then you have the birth of Jim Crow. Then you have the birth of all these laws that were used to... This brings me back to something I've always said when you talk about reparations. I have never said that. I've always said I don't think black people deserve reparations for slavery. I think we deserve reparations for all the many ways that our country, that separate governments, let's say our whole country as a whole, but separate governments in our country, certain entities, waged literal economic wars on us to keep us disenfranchised, to keep us below. That's what I think. Happy Juneteenth, y'all. Love y'all.